Hey guys, welcome again. And this time we'll be talking about how to survive when you're an A-level student in an FSc world. Now, this title might seem a bit overly dramatic, but ask yourself, isn't this how it feels sometimes? Well, for me, it did. And I will be telling you about my journey through these uncharted lands. And hopefully, for aspiring voyagers, this will be really helpful. Anyhow, what sort of a mindset should an A-level student have? Um, Prior to having chosen this path, many of you would have been stuck in the A-levels or inter debate, and I'm sure you would have thought over the pros and the cons. And if you are clicking on this video, it's likely you have gone with the A-levels route. Now, my first advice to you is to stick with your reasons. There was a reason you have chosen this path. Either you've considered all of the advantages, all of the disadvantages, and overall have reached the conclusion that to you, A-level seems to be the more fruitful way to go. Number two, you need to be aware of the reality. As an A-level student in a country where the students are predominantly going for the FSc route, or have always been on the FSc route, you're going to have a major disadvantage. Is the disadvantage unsurpassable? That is incorrect. Many have done it, many will do it, and that is how it is. Now, the second thing is that you need to accept this and you need to move on. If you sort of develop this victim, like you feel you're the victim, that will not help you at all. The system is indeed screwed in a lot of places, but right now you cannot do anything about it. You yourself have chosen the more difficult but possibly the more useful route, and you're going to have to live with it. Right? So this is the mindset you should be having, and the stuff that you need to know right now the moment you've entered your AS. Equivalency is not a myth. 990 out of 1100 is the maximum marks an A-level student can possibly get. And this is for someone who has achieved straight A sterics. And that is not an easy thing to do. Another thing you need to know is that indeed there are many students in FSc who have easily crossed the 1000 mark. And that does not necessarily mean that they're better than you. They might not even be at the same level, or they may be way ahead of you. You need to consider both things. A lot of A-level students, they have the superiority complex that somehow they're better than those who have gone the FSc route. That is incorrect, but there is some amount of truth to it. Personally, I have met, interacted with, and befriended so many FSc students and even a few teachers who are so good at what they do, whose concepts are crystal clear, who are ambitious, who have the personality to go with it. Right? But the truth is that the FSc exams themselves are nothing compared to the A-level exams. And what that means is that while a person who has scored the higher marks in FSc more than you possibly could, might be deserving of it, it might also be possible that they might be at the exact same level as you, or they might not even be as good as you. So this is an unfair point of view. This is an unfair situation that you need to accept. Number two, you have to realize that A-levels are way harder than O-levels. and arguably more difficult to FSc as well. Now, why do I say that? Because I have studied FSc for the UHS MDCAT, and obviously I've studied A-levels, and I've found that while the FSc course material is much more detailed, there is a lot more detail, a lot more information about a given topic. The information is oftentimes scattered. So it's more facts than explanation, even though there are a lot more facts which are in a lot more detail. But the questions that are asked are not as conceptual, they're not as in-depth, and in the end, a lot is left to memorization. So there is no comparison between the two subjects, A-level biology or FSc biology or any of the other two. That does not mean that an FSc student is not remarkable or does not know as much as you do, just that their boards, by making stuff easier, by giving exams that are testing rote-based stuff, exams that are regurgitating the same questions over and over again, they're actually disadvantaging them. Anyhow, this is stuff you need to know. However, if you were an FSc student, you'd have to appear for exams of Urdu, English, Pakistan Studies, and Islam Myth. And if you sort of like account for that, you can't really say if A-levels is easier or more difficult than FSc. One thing is that if you're going the A-levels route after O-levels, you're likely to feel better about it, because the way you are studying, the more conceptual it is, the more right weight it is, you're likely going to sort of like be rewarded for it. For an FSc student, he or she may have excellent concepts, a lot of students do, but in the end, the boards aren't exactly testing that. And they're not exactly rewarding that, or even discriminating between students whose concepts are say 100% and someone whose concepts are say 80%. So again, this is all stuff you need to consider. These are the buts to the second statement. Another thing, the entry test is indeed FSc based. Now the question is, a lot of students think, do we need to start the FSc prep while we're doing the A-levels, because they're rightly informed that there is a hell of a lot of difference between the content at FSc and A-levels? The question isn't quite so simple. If you're going for MBBS, there really isn't that much of a need. You tend to have at least 2 months in the previous years, and from this year onwards, and hopefully the next as well, you'll have about 3 for UHS MDCAT and maybe a bit more for the NUMS. So there isn't much of a need for it. But there are also a lot of other universities, and I've been told that the entry test happens quite quickly after we're done with our A-level exams. So you're going to need to ask your seniors about that to estimate the time you will have immediately after your A2 are over. Know this, 2 months and 3 months are more than enough for you to prep for UHS MDCAT. If you're a student whose A-level concepts are up to par and someone who is ready to put in the effort, right? The stuff you need to know. Another thing, if you're someone who wants to go for ALHAN, the ALHAN exams for the medical, they have their own entry test. There has been a trend over the years that it happens almost a month after we're done with our exams, and so maybe if you want to go for ALHAN, you'd consider prepping for your FSc along the way, asking a few people what the ALHAN syllabus is. It is FSc based, but I've been told that A-level students are quite at ease appearing for it because the questions themselves seem to be more A-level like. Unfortunately, I can't quite elaborate on that because I've myself not gone for the ALHAN entry test, but this is all that I've heard from people who have in fact appeared for it. So stuff to do right now, you need to be smart. Your preparation needs to be good. You need to put yourself out there. You need to know chemistry. You need to be a chemist. You need to be someone who knows his subjects. But that's not smart about that. You need to be smart about your time. People waste a lot of time. They spend 6 hours studying a day for learning stuff that if they didn't spend so much time sighing, looking at outside the window, and generally wasting time on Insta, they would have achieved in maybe 2 hours or 2 hour 30 minutes. And what will that achieve? You'll have your work done in 2 or 30 minutes. You will feel accomplished. You have done so much in a little amount of time. And if during that day you're feeling productive, you can spend more time, as much as you want to. Or if it's one of those days that you just feel like you want to hang out with your friends, you can do that. A levels is the golden age. After that, you can in fact spend time with your friends, with your family, but things often get a bit difficult, especially if you're going for MBBS. You can spend time, have fun, but there's a lot in your head, there's a lot on your shoulders. Be organized, live your life to the fullest. Study hard and party well. And both things need to have their own spot, because you don't want them interfering with each other. You need to be smart, you need to know where you are, you need to know where you need to be in order to go where you want to be heading. And do not act like an asocial person. You're gonna spend 6 hours, you're gonna have this mindset, oh my god, this is A levels, people are saying I need to be studying all the time. And you will be studying all the time, but you'll probably be getting the same amount of work done that you would if you were studying like say 3 hours a day after your 3 to 4 hour classes, how many your college makes you have per day. So don't go for that mindset, you need to be studying all the time. You don't. You need to be studying how much you want to be studying. Maybe if your O-level stuff isn't that good, you would have to put more effort at the start, decrease it. You need to know who you are and what you want to be and where you're at, stuff like that. Now what to do in A2? In A2, by the time you have HARP done, you need to be a bit aware of not only what comes in A2, but what will come after, so you're a bit prepped up. Now I suggest if you're one of those students whose entry test is a bit, or right after their exams are over, they can start prepping at A2 or at AS. But the way I want you to understand how to do that is you should have the FSc book with you. But don't spend more than say 25 minutes per day with the FSc book. You just want to have a brief idea. The last minute memorization you can do after your A2. And you don't want it interfering with your life. You don't want to have this OMG A2 and then entry test and that is it. You need to be living in the present. But you don't want to be forgetting that there is a future there and you're going to have to sort of like face it eventually. So hopefully you found this to be useful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And if you feel like this is something that will help people out, people you know, please share this video with said people. Thank you.